New box design, the same old great lures. This is the January 2021 Tackle Club COD box. Righto, so in standard Tackle Club tradition, I'm going to start off with the surface lure in the box today, being one from our friends at Halco. This is the Halco Nightwalker. Why do they call it the Nightwalker? Well, the bib on the front is actually glow in the dark. So this is perfect for throwing in those low light situations. You know, late afternoon, early morning, middle of the night, 3 a.m, whenever you're out fishing. But you can also fish this in light situations. Not going to be my first pick, but I always like to fish surface low light or early morning, late afternoon, just after sunrise, just before sunset. Take a breath. But yeah, the Halco Nightwalker is a surface crawler, hence the Nightwalker name. Pretty easy to fish with. You just pop a cast out, you know, maybe you've got an overhanging willow, you've got a nice rock wall, you've got some laydowns or some fallen timber. Pick out your cast, make your cast in, let it hit the water. Pause, wait, then start your retrieve. I always like to leave it on the pause because you would be surprised how often you manage to cast a lure right on top of a fish's head. You may not be able to see it, but they're sitting there looking up at it going, I wonder if I want that. And if you pause it long enough, sometimes they do. If not, start your slow roll, and this thing will just go blip, 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 just swimming across the top of the water, making a nice disturbance, making a lot of noise, and drawing fish in, hopefully to whack it right at your feet and scare the bejeebies out of you, because that happens a lot. A lot of the time, cod will just follow these things and just follow them, watch them, watch them, watch them, until they get close to the bank, thinking they're going to escape, and whammo, you're on. Now, if the surface bite isn't happening for you, we're going to jump over to something else, which will actually dive down a little bit further from our good buddies at Rapala. So this is the Rapala Balsa Extreme, so the BX Big Brat. And this is a chunky boy. This is a thick boy. Big bib on him, practically facing straight down. Now, it does look a little bit funny, but the profile on this is absolutely perfect. I love fishing these crankbaits for Murray cod that are often sitting tight against the edges in the rivers or underneath laydowns, fallen timber, in little holes in the rocks. These are perfect for that. That big bib facing down helps you bump over all those snags rather than your treble sticking right into one. And being balsa, part of the Balsa Extreme series by Rapala, means these are super buoyant. So as soon as you feel it touch or bump into a snag under the water, if you give it a pause, it will rise and float over it very quickly, meaning you can continue your retrieve down the other side, which is dynamite. So you've got a big branch laying down, you're swimming this guy along, bump, pause, it's gonna float up, keep retrieving. And a lot of the time, if the cod's sitting underneath or looking the other way, as soon as you retrieve that down the other side, whammo is gonna grab onto that and you're on. If I'm fishing a river from the bank, rather than from my kayak or from my boat, I'll often actually look for snags on my side of the bank. A lot of people waste a lot of time trying to cast to the other side of the bank. But if you're on the other side of the bank, you're going to be casting back to where you are now. You know, fish can be on either sides of the bank. So I don't always just cast the other side, but I look left, I look right. Often you can see nice little cut-offs or undercuts, snags that you may not see looking straight on from the other side. So cast and work it along the bank. Cast up, work along the bank. An absolutely fantastic way to fish your chubby crankbaits like these. Now, if you want to get down a lot deeper, I'm meaning a lot deeper, we're going to head over to the RMG lures. This is the RMG Poltergeist in pink fluoro. And this actually still holds the record, I believe, for the largest Murray cod ever caught in Australia while cast and retrieved from the bank. Well, so they say on the back, so it must be true. But no, these are fantastic lures, dive really deep, really quick, And I've also snagged a lot of good yellers on these as well. But obviously we're targeting cod with this one. So the deep diving bib, which is a 5 meter plus on this one, means you can troll it behind your kayak or your boat along the original riverbed in any dams you're in, or along some steep rocky outcrops, or you can even cast and rip these deep down next to a tree or a bit of timber that's sitting in the water. The big bib also helps it, that's a bit of a mouthful, big bib, big bib. The big bib also helps it bounce over those snags under the water as well, just like the Balsa Extreme, but its float rate, being made out of the ABS plastic that it's made out of, is going to be a little bit slower as opposed to the Rapala Balsa Extreme. And then next up we've got a swim bait from Chase Baits. This is the Prop Duster. It's got a cool little propeller built into the belly, which adds extra flash and vibration, and a single jointed profile with strong hooks and super lifelike finish on these means they're a great and easy swim bait or glide bait. So being a sinking bait, you just cast it out. Once again, I'm probably not going to fish these in heavy structure because of the big trebles hanging underneath. I'm going to be looking for big open flats. A lot of time the cod in dams will come up to these flats to feed, looking for little redfin or little trout or little yellers, carp, anything, other cod, you know, anything that can fit into their mouth. So I'm going to pop a long cast out with this, let it sink to the bottom, and just a real slow wind. This thing will just meander, just slowly swim along down the bottom, add in a few more pauses. You want to keep it down deep, keep it on the bottom, because this cod is going to be just lazily there with his fat belly sitting on the bottom, waiting for something to go past him before he has a munch. If you're fishing the rivers, you still can chuck these into the heavy structure. Just be careful not to snag it up. I'm probably going to work these on the outside. So if you're fishing a very sticky area or where there's heaps of dead trees coming out of the water, don't cast into the middle. I'm going to be working this along the outside of these trees where it's going to drop off a bit deeper and save my spinnerbaits or my crankbaits for casting up into the more snaggy areas. And as we so often like to include in the boxes is terminal tackle. So this time we've included something from Suffix, which is one of my favorite lines to fish with. This is the Suffix 40 pound fluorocarbon line. So you're going to use this as your leader line, which is what you tie to your braid. Super abrasive resistant. Not only that, but fluorocarbon has less stretch than monofilament, which means you're going to actually retain a higher amount of sensitivity to your lure as opposed to fluorocarbon, which has a fair bit of stretch, which means you're going to actually get or be able to work your lures a little bit better if you can feel them a bit more. Not only that, but fluorocarbon refracts less light in the water too. If you get a bit of mono and a bit of fluoro and you've got the sun high up over your head, the mono is going to be a lot more visible. So because of the lesser light refraction, the fluorocarbon goes more invisible in the water. So it's an awesome choice to use as a leader for the lures that you're flicking this month. That's it for the COD box here in January. If you want to check it out or any of the others in the range, just head to www.tackleclub.com.au. Pick a box that's right for you. Might be the COD one. And welcome to the club.